Hello, good morning, everyone. I am here to represent my case study topic, which is what impact in the Ukraine-Russia conflict having on supply chain quality management and in which area it is having the biggest impact. So my group number is 25. My case study number is 19A. I am here to introduce myself and my group member. So my name is Ahmed Ali Manzoor Kiani and my student ID is 230999537. I would like to call all of my friends to invite to introduce their own self.
Good morning, Ren. My name is Yasir Khan, and my student ID is 230930059. So I am group 25.
Hello everyone. My name is Temur Khan and my student ID is 23071 and 734 and I'm from group number 25. Thank you.
Everyone. My name is MD Murshid Khan. My ID number is 230787774 and my group number is 25 and case study 19A. Thank you.
So let's start the presentation. So these are all the topics of our content in which our all the presentation is based. So let's start with the introduction. In the introduction, we discuss about that the today's case study 19A delves into the profound ramifications of the Ukraine-Russia conflict on global and food supply chains, centering on supermarket vulnerability. We will illustrate how our reliance on just-in-time inventory models and concentrated supply sources, specifically for grains, for sunflower oil and fertilizers, from Ukraine and Russia intensified systematic weakness. Management now confronts four principal challenges: supply chain resilience, procurement, cost inflation, maintaining product quality, and inventory stability. We place this discussion within the framework of supply chain risk management and Chow's theory, interpreting both reactive and proactive decision making strategies under the sustained volatility. So my next topic is this date. That is scope of the problem contextualizing the Ukraine-Russia conflict. So in this war, that he has exposed supermarket supply chains to severe shortages, price escalation, and diminished quality controls. Global networks reliant on timely delivery of grains, oil, and fertilizers, especially in Europe, Asia, and Africa, have experienced the acute interruptions. This is very shocks highlights how dependent the supermarket operations are on Ukrainian and Russia commodities, underlining the economic and social vulnerabilities that reverberate throughout national economies and communities. So my next topic is this date, the effects of the conflict. Uh, in this topic, we discuss about that the applying supply chain risk management theory reveals the cascading effects of the disrupted nodes, the closure of Odessa, Mykolaiv, Mariupol ports effectively halved Ukraine's grain export capacity, stalling both regional and international logistics. And by the way, this disruption pushed food prices sharply upward. FAO price indices jumped by more than 20% in early 2022 and caused inventory shortages for supermarkets operating just in time system, reducing their capacity to reliably meet consumer demand. So my next topic is this data significance and the importance. It is very important on the Ukraine and Russia war, in which we discuss about that the Ukraine and Russia usually supply about 30% of the global wheat and are top fertilizer exporters. The war drove the FAO Global Food Price Index to record highs with wheat prices alone spiking by 40% in some regions, notably low and middle income countries already vulnerable to food insecurity were most affected. And while some analysts expected the adoption over time, the pricing pressure increased the frequency of stockouts and customer dissatisfaction continues, especially where alternate suppliers are limited. Uh, Thank you so much. And now, the gentlemen, the presentation will be continued by my fellows.
Yeah, my name is Yasir, and I'm to present my slide, which is this duration and evolution of disruptions. So, in this slide, we will discuss about the duration and evolution of disruptions, which is much of the disruptions we see today can be tracked back to 2014 invention of like Ukraine when commerce was annexed. So, however, we situation accelerated significantly in 2022 with the full-scale inventions. So heightened instability like has created rapidly effect throughout the global supply chain. So some have key, which is key commodities like grains, sunflower oils, and fertilizers have since um in constant supply. So in the instability of expected persist until leads like 2025, according to Machida. So the disruption has led to two major challenges, which is first one is like negotiable increase in market volatility. Like we have seen repeatedly port shutdown bans like export and damage to like infrastructure to make the difficult like market to stabilize. And second one is like there are ongoing supply and inventory hardship as noticed as Daisel at 2023 supermarket is like particularly are suffering due to unresolved and inventory shortage. I'm going to my next slide, which is like key fact and data supply chain theory applications. So in this, we will discuss, let's see, look at some key point, how to supply chain theory can be help explain like this one. So Ukraine plays like crucial rules in global agricultures. It supplies like 20% of world wheat and like 60% of maize and more than half of the sunflower oil trade globally. So most of these export go to Europe, Asia, and Africa as well. So meanwhile, Russia is one of the world largest supplier of nitrogen-based fertilizer, but due to Western sanctions, price have skewed. So some of our 70% these price skills our force supply chain by repeatedly adapt and shift scoring like strategies, as highlighted by Jeffries in 2022. So these fact like underline the fragile dependence on the few key regions like when conflict hit these regions, so send shock through the global food and supply system. So now I'm going to my next slide, which is causes of disruptions, critical analysis using disruptions propagations theory. So in this the crucial analysis these issues, we turn to disruption propagation theories. These theories help us understand how disruptions spread across like interconnected system. So firstly, uh, food flows have been like severely disrupted by military blockades and sanctions. Supply chains haven't been like able to copy of effectively under these pressures. So according to Latin 2023, business that use diversified scoring strategies were more resilient. So highlighted the major risk geographically, our like dependence, which when companies relate too heavily on the region, is reception there occurs major breakdown. So how can business become more resilient? There are five key factor like important collaborations, strong like supply relationship like and collaborative plannings and forecasting and strategic partnerships, and finally we will discuss technology enable collaboration tools. So these approaches improve adaptively and help mitigate the impact of like our external shock. So in the closing statement, we will say, in conclusion, like we say, geographical conflict, especially in Eastern Europe, has had a long-lasting impact on global supply chain. So by applying supply chain theory and disruptions propagation frameworks, we can see both of vulnerabilities and strategic solutions available. So it's clear that reliance lies in collaborations diversifications, and technology integrations. Thank you so much.
Hello, everyone. My name is Temur, and I will start from this slide. The impact on stakeholder theory. Stakeholder theory help illustrate uh, cascading effects. Supermarkets have absorbed rising procurement and logistic cost, translating into reduced margin and more frequent inventory gaps, uh, especially in the low income market. The war between Russia and Ukraine uh, hit the local market very often, and especially the people experience from 30 to 50% for cereal and oil increased risk of good of food insecurity. So you 30 to 50% is a very big margin for the low income markets. It's a very big margin for the low income market. The cost of from 30% to 50% for the cereal and oil, and increased risk of food insecurities also. With that, from 30 to 50%, they have also faced the food insecurity. It's very crucial for both of the country. The Ukrainian farmer lost critical exports channels. With the war in the Russia, the Ukrainian farmer actually lost critical channels of their export with other country, while the Russian also hit by this, and Russian suppliers struggled with payment and embargoes. So both countries have hit by the inflation and the food insecurities and everything. So the stake it's a very big impact on the stakeholder actually. The government and NGO have faced new burden. Obviously, they will face the new burden for their people. They will manage the inflation, and they will control uh, the inflation rate. As we I said in my um, talking that 30 to 50% for the cereal and oil have increased in the low income markets. So the NGOs and the governments will face a new problem, needing to bolster, subsidize, manage inflation, and coordinate border food aid. So my next slide will be the stakeholder influence. Uh, Influence, just like the stakeholder theory, this will be the influence. Influence is a multi-layer. The UN and WHO facilitated the Black Sea Grain Initiative, temporarily reopening export corridor from Ukraine. This is temporarily. They are trying from the Black Sea Grain Initiative. Actually, this is called. This is facilitated by the UN and WTO. The corridor from Ukraine, the temporary corridor, a national government altered import policies. Egypt, for instance, this is for instance, as I said, it's temporarily. The private, the big and wheat import from India to mitigate shortage, and the private actors such as the logistic firms, they are working on this side as well, on the logistic firms and multinational agribusinesses as well, develop overland and river routes, for example, through the Danube, to circumvent the Black Sea challenges. This example show that adoptive multi-actor strategies were critical for upholding a basic supply level during this crisis. It's a big crisis, both of the country. Now, my slide will be the management theories in context. Supply chain risk management, particularly Tomlin models, underscore supplier diversification, redundancy, and contingency planning. This is very important. The Tomlin's model and underscore supply the disverification, redundancy, and contingency plannings. The current conflict proved firms with multi-sourcing arrangement were significantly less susceptible to disruption. Chaos theory bring forward the highly and unpredictable dynamics of the crisis. It's very unpredictable dynamics at the moment. At war, it's always the unpredictable dynamics and the chaos theory for both of the country, coping and resilience framework, educate robust inventory control and network agility, marking a clear edge for resilient supermarket compared to more rigid competitor in their global turbulence. Thank you from my side. Now the next will be by Murshid. Thank you.
Thank you, Taimur. Give me a chance to discuss my part. Hello again, everyone. In this final content section of our presentation, and I will be covering three elements. One is analytical tools and approach, and second one is option and solution pathways, and third one is our final recommendation. Those are the strategic and insight that organization can apply to response to recover from the supply and the supply chain disruption caused by the Ukraine-Russian conflict. Now my first slide is I'm going to discuss my first slide is analytical tools and approach for the details. Um, Companies had to deal with uncertainty and rapidly changing logistics and shifting demand. To manage this, they turned to tools like scenario analysis and sensitivity testing, especially to forecast inventory levels and sourcing needs. The primary methodology, which you see mentioned here, help researcher and supply chain manager to identify the vulnerabilities, evaluate risk exposure, and propose evidence-based response during complex disruption. The bar graph on the right shows how GDP and inflation were impacted in 2022 and 2023, a clear visual of the global economic stress caused by the war. So in short, those analytical approach help organization prepare for and adapt to and rapidly changing food supply condition. Now I am going to my next slide. Uh, Option and solution pathway. Now let's look at what solutions are being proposed in both short and medium term. In the short term, the focus is on diversifying grain and well seed supply to other regions like Canada, Latin America, and India, and finding alternative routes to bypass risky area like the Black Sea and using overland rail and Danube River shipping. In the medium term, as the yellow box highlights, the best solution lies in a hybrid strategy, combining like diversifying sourcing, cooperation with international agency, and real-time and data-driven opportunity reporting system. Those measures don't just solve today's problem, they build resilience for future shocks. Now I'm going to my last slide. It is conclusion and recommendation. Based on everything we have explored, here are our final recommendation. First, It's clear that the war has weakened global food chains, especially in supermarket operation and quality control. Second one is to address this, we need to embed a crisis response system into day-to-day supply and chain operation. That means moving from reactive to proactive risk management. Another one is also vital to promote stakeholder engagement, bringing together public and private players to work on common goals. Finally, as highlighted by Moni Zook, stabilized at 2024, the modern supply chain must be adaptive and flexible, built for unpredictability. Those are not just suggestions, they are the urgent strategies for surviving and thriving in volatile world. Finishing now, I'm going to my next slide, and it is reference. Finishing with the reference slide. Before we close, the next slide includes all of the academic and policy reference we have used throughout the case study. Those provide additionally depth on the models, statistics, and recommendation we have covered, including Prisma stakeholder theory and hybrid strategy models. Thank you for your attention, and that conclusion my section and the main presentation. Thank you so much.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.